Welcome back to my blog. Hi. I'm having a nice Friday morning. Thus far, it's day 5 out from my infusion, and um, uh, it's typically Thursday and Friday are my hardest days. Um, so I should not be expecting a lot out of today. Um, Ginger ale settles the stomach. It's good stuff. I started the day as usual at 6 a.m., got up, took a shower, had a nice, uh, modest breakfast this morning. I think I had some eggs on toast or something like that. It was pretty basic. Um, Nice strong cup of coffee that my daughter prepared for me, which was very kind of her because I needed it. And I hit the day, with as much gusto as I could muster, which wasn't a huge amount because I was tired, very tired this morning getting up. Um, Back was sore, didn't sleep super comfortably last night. My lower back really hurts a lot lately. But that's not related to the cancer or the infusion. That's related to the fact that I have a history of back issues, mostly muscle related. Um, so I slept well last night. The irony, and this is one of those beautiful things about treatment, is that I feel the least well rested after having gotten my best night of sleep for the week. Um, I slept until 5 o'clock this morning. I went to sleep at around 10:15, so that's the longest block I've had without getting up. And then I just had to get up and go to the bathroom at 5, and then I went back to sleep for about 40 more minutes. So that was not bad. And I was in the middle of a dream this morning uh, when everyone started waking up. And I remember that the dream was pretty vivid, which was nice. I was really, deeply in there, but it took a little bit of rousting on my part to get up and to get things going. Once I was out of the house and setting things up at the coffee trailer this morning, I started to feel a lot better. Just being out in the open air, talking to more people, doing tasks that get you away from how you're feeling, and not allowing yourself to just focus on the fact that I feel kind of gross, my stomach's not so great, I'm tired, I'm achy, all these things. The head's kind of throbbing a little bit. Nothing out of the usual there. When you look at the gross picture of human experience, that's not a bad way to start the day anyway. It's not that uncommon. Um, yes, it feels a little different when you've got these chemicals in your system and your body's trying to purge them out, and they're doing their thing. So you're also, you're feeling kind of attacked on one side, like, all this chemo is, um, you know, doing this stuff to my system. It's doing its job, fortunately. But on the other hand, the rest of your body's like, hey, let's get this foreign stuff out of the body as quickly as we can. Let's make that happen. It's just, it's not a great balance, but this tends to be about the time of the week where everything starts to, move through this process of purging the chemicals out. And you are also feeling the effects of them having been in your system for several days. So Wednesday night, it started a little early with indigestion. I was having a little trouble Wednesday night, as I discussed previously, um, keeping some of my food, settled and down, which is unusual for me because usually I don't have that kind of difficulty. Thursday, the meals were not an issue in terms of being able to eat them and feel comfortable enough. I have indigestion. I will have indigestion Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be an issue with me. Things just don't feel like they've settled in the stomach, in the lower intestines, all that stuff. it feels just unsettled and a little gross. But the worst part for me on Thursday, aside from the fact that, you know, I didn't feel super great, was that the taste buds are affected. And as you're aware, if you watched the previous videos for this week, corned beef is one of my favorite things in the world to eat. It's a meal I look forward to all year long. And I enjoyed it. But I was sad that everything tasted bitter. And, you know, the irony is the potatoes, which are usually like, they're good. I like the potatoes. I love the cabbage, and I adore the corned beef. Everything was inverse. The potatoes were the best part of the meal for me because they were the least bitter. They tasted buttery and good, and I mixed some sour cream in with them and mushed them all together while I was eating them, and it was really good and it was delicious. But when I got to my corned beef, I enjoyed it. I could taste it, but at the same time, I taste this very bitter component to it as well, and it's it's disappointing when you're eating and the food that you love doesn't taste the same. And that's something. Excuse me. Itches a little bit. I have a perennial runny nose as a result of the chemotherapy as well. The whole last year, it's always been just like, it's always just a little itch or a little tickle right at the end here, and so I have to kind of deal with it. It is not, however, wet. It's just a dry kind of thing right now, but it is, I can feel little extra moisture around the edge, and it's these disconcerting little things, it's like, wow, they're so small. That's what I'm complaining about. A lot better than when this whole process started and I was complaining that I couldn't breathe well. I couldn't get enough air to stay in my lungs. I like it. It's one of the reasons I wear my Second Wind t-shirt so much, this polo shirt. This was actually my father's boat and years ago, and I got this shirt for that long before the whole cancer thing came up, but it's sort of taken on an extra life of its own. And a lot of my pictures, I realized early on that like when I was at the getting my pulmonary tests done and so forth before my diagnosis had even occurred, I was wearing this shirt, and so many of these pictures I took to document what was happening, and I just found it very ironic. So now I make a point, I think, of wearing it more, but I digress. I have no idea what I was talking about. Blame that on the chemo brain. Can't focus. I say jokingly. Chemo brain is a real thing. Does affect you. But how much and when and that's a whole nother thing open for some discussion and I think a certain level of debate. I get typically, again, going back to this cycle, on Thursday and Friday, I tend to have a little bit of a, what I would call a brain fog. I am a little slower in terms of putting my thoughts together. I might have a little more difficulty in terms of follow through. I get more distracted. If I don't keep notes, lists of things that need to be done, I may not remember to do everything that I anticipate I'm going to need to do, or that I set out to do, or that I promise to do. So it becomes very important for me to have lists, and I keep them constantly now. And I'm always writing down what I need to do. Post-its are my serious friend. I always put a post-it on my wallet for what I need to do that morning or that day. As things come up, I just write them down. It's just become second nature to me. Although I have noticed that more often than not, I remember stuff on my own just fine. It's really about just taking that extra precaution, not so much about an actual worry that there's something wrong. When it comes to creative writing, I don't have a problem. I am very creative. What I do have a problem with is focus and an extended period of time when I'm working without uh, um, I guess when I needed to get a lot done, I get tired. My brain gets tired, and so when the chemo is really affecting me, I will literally fall asleep on my keyboard if I'm writing. Um, and if I'm writing something that is not exciting me for whatever reason, I will fall asleep twice as fast. Um, but that again, that's like this day, yesterday. These days are a little trickier in terms of formulating my thoughts, formulating the ideas, and getting them out there if they are things that need to be done in a more academic manner. It's a little trickier. If it's just like free flow creative stuff, then I can do a little more of that. Although, it's harder. It's harder because of the length of time that I can sit and focus. It's harder because of the length of time that I have the energy to be awake doing it. And I really needed to take downtime the last couple days in the afternoon, and I will today. It's not quite noon yet, and I'm still good right now in terms of my energy level right now. Right now, in a couple hours, I will be tired, and I will be feeling it. But I tend to be at my best between 6 a.m. and noon, and my absolute best between 8 and 10, and which is great because that happens to be when I'm at my daughter's school. I'm doing the stuff that I do there, to facilitate the coffee service, making these espressos. Mostly, I'm talking to people about their experience. I'm talking to people about what's going on at the school. I'm engaging in this environment, and today it was very beneficial to me because there were enough people there that there was the opportunity for lively discussion. There was the opportunity for intellectual engagement, and that's something I really benefit from in terms of my process here on a week like this. If my brain is engaged and I can get into a topic that is very interesting and very beneficial, then I stay more acute. And so it's important during the week of the infusion to do this kind of thing, to be part of what's going on, and not to just be like, I'm going to just hide. Because, A, nothing's gained by hiding. B, when you're burrowing down, you just kind of feel crappy, and then you're just living in the crappiness, and it kind of gets worse. But if you are engaging in stuff, it might be a little difficult sometimes to keep the energy up, or to stay on your feet, or to be moving around if you're not feeling so great. But the benefit to it is that the time goes faster. You don't feel as bad during that time. And in fact, afterwards, you kind of rebound in a much quicker way. So that's how I've spent my day. I came home. I had some serious phone calls that I had to make for some different things that people were needing to talk to me about that had nothing to do with with my physical condition or anything like that. They're just they were important calls for various reasons, and so that was great. Again, I'm able to focus on something completely external at that point, even if there's occasional crossover or I have to address what's going on. And then I made a great corned beef sandwich, which I enjoyed actually more than my dinner from yesterday, partly because the taste buds are starting to come back to normal slowly. Things still don't taste good. I'm not saying that I'm enjoying food the way that I'd like to enjoy it, but I can still, I can taste it better than I could taste it yesterday. And I was really hungry. And that's one of those grand ironies too. I'm really hungry a lot of the time, and oftentimes I'm eating too much because I keep feeling hungry. So I have to pull it back. Cannot praise ginger ale enough. There are certain things too, like I like to chew on ginger. Ginger's great for settling your stomach. Ginger tea. I've had quite a bit of ginger tea over the past year. I like these things because they're not really medicinal. I mean, they are, but not in the sense that you're taking some kind of extra chemical to, change the way your body's processing stuff. It's a nice, easy, very gentle. Licorice is another thing. I'm going to have some licorice in a little while. But the soothing properties of this stuff is great, and it does what I need it to do. It may not do it as much as a pill, but it does enough to kind of make me feel like two things. One, I'm enjoying what I'm putting in my mouth, and two, it is making me feel somewhat better in the process. So does eating when I actually am not overeating. So balancing that out is always very important. The rest of my day today is going to be, again, trying to do a little work on the computer. I have not been as successful at completing projects the last few days as I would like. Not surprised by that. The other thing is I'm really just going to watch some television. I got to sit down and just chill and do that for a little while. TV's good because it gives you something to focus on. A better program is always a better way to watch. I mean, watching terrible TV, watching like some reality program or something like that would not help me at all. But watching something that can actually engage my mind and give me something to think about, something to be, feel about, whether it's drama or comedy doesn't make any difference. Something that's actually engaging to the intellect is super important because it does actually pull you out of your situation and give you something to, ruminate on that's not you. And I always find that to be great. The good, good news then, I seem to be over the hump early this time, partly because I think I went a little quicker to the, not feeling so great in my stomach on Wednesday. Thursday, my down day, always my hardest day, but seems to have not been as hard on the back end of Thursday. And Friday, although I was really wiped out and tired and kind of cranky this morning, I'm feeling a lot better as far as Fridays go than I often do. So I'm in high hopes that tomorrow I'll be back to most of my regular self and just feeling tired because I'll be tired for the next couple of days. A little fatigued still early. And you might notice the difference in my voice too. I get a little hoarse, and that I thought I had really thought was more of a steroid issue, but it's hard to tell. The vocal cords are affected by the different medications, different chemicals. Another thing that has an effect really, the chemotherapy gives you neuropathy. It's very mild, in my case, neuropathy. And I notice that mostly when I'm taking a shower. It's really just a general lack of sensitivity around everything. I'll notice it mostly on my toes, probably, but it's not something that I can still feel. It's just slightly dulled. It feels slightly like when your arm falls asleep and then it's just waking up. If you take out the pins and needles and ignore that, and you realize there's just a little lack of maybe I'm not quite feeling stuff as much. It's kind of in that range, but it's come back mostly. I don't really notice any neuropathy now like I did this morning, and when I was in the shower it was definitely noticeable. Not so much right now, but I take folic acid for that purpose. Folic acid helps with the nerve regeneration, development, whatever, protecting the nerves, and so it's very key to that. That's why I take very specific supplements that deal with shortfallings in my system where I need to have something to get back to where my body is functioning the way it's supposed to. I will take calcium, a very low vitamin D, and the folic acid, and sometimes I take a multivitamin for some general support, but it's really questionable whether that would do any good at all. But the calcium I need, because the bone density is something you have to always be kind of aware of. And I have a shot of something called Xgeva that I get for bone strength, and I get a vitamin B12 shot periodically, which I don't think does anything for me. I've never noticed a single difference in how I respond to it. Some people apparently swear that it gives them a lot of energy. I don't get any from that. And it's kind of questionable whether it's really doing a lot to help me or anything at all. But it's all there to support, the bones and the blood and all that, which are very, very important in terms of this whole treatment process. Because my cancer has metastasized, and because it is something that has affected the bones, and it has affected, different parts of the body beyond the lungs, I need to make sure that I'm, addressing all the areas where it could be affecting me in a negative way, so that I can level the playing field. And the folic acid and the calcium are the two main areas where the body's going to need more of something, because something is being either taken away or it has to work double time to get things to be normal. In general, vitamins don't really do much of anything to beyond what you get through your diet. If you're eating a really healthy diet and it's well balanced, you get all the nutrition your body can use, because you're constantly purging it out. And you take a multivitamin, most of that comes right out in your urine, unless you actually have a need for it. So I think it's always important to kind of go over stuff like that, find out what you are going to have a shortage of, find out what your body is going to be working extra hard to produce or need in order to do what building blocks does it need that it's not going to have enough of. And so that's great. I have all that stuff working on my side, and as a result, because I do take the folic acid specifically, the neuropathy's never been an issue for me. I recognize it. I know that it's there. It is a common side effect of chemotherapy. But then so are the things that don't affect everyone equally. I've had no hair loss to speak of. I do have a receding hairline, but that's because I'm 48 years old, and it is not because of my chemotherapy. And I guess I also am a little gray now that I notice what's going on there. When did that happen? So that's it. I've been rambling on here for almost 25 minutes, so I'm going to let this stand on its own, and I will hopefully try to remember to check back in and give a recap in some form, whether it's just a written one on the blog or another video entry about how the week has gone. But this has been my week of maintenance chemotherapy. I'm taking Alimta as the main drug that I deal with, and the only chemotherapy drug I'm taking right now, and it's been great. It's kept me feeling good for a long time now, and probably for a long time to come. And unless we decide to switch things up and try something different at some point, this is working. Every 3 weeks, I go in, I get my infusion, I come out. I have then a couple of days where I feel kind of gross, and that's it. And it's a pretty small price to pay for the general quality of life that I've been given. And I should probably go let my cat in. I think he wants to come into the house. So thanks for hanging out, and I will talk again soon.